Welcome to Jason Verney's podcast. I am Jason Verney. Flicks is, obviously it spells flicks, but each letter of that acronym or whatever it is, stands for a word. So F is films, life, interviews, camera, which is kind of essentially filmmaking, career, as in the country career, okay, and sounds, which is really music. Now, I've covered a few kind of political things. I've covered a few aspects of career. I've covered a few things about life. I haven't really touched on films per se, so I really wanted to cover one particular film just briefly, one that I've seen. I've actually seen 3 films, sort of mainstream, I guess you could say, Hollywood films. Actually, not all Hollywood films. Silence, the Martin Scorsese one, La La Land, which I'm going to talk about. I actually saw that today. It's opening weekend, I guess you could say. And I did see the Japanese film Your Name, the animation. But I wanted to cover La La Land because I've come back from that today. I was kind of hesitant about seeing it. A couple of reasons for that. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it'd be really musical, too fluffy, too kind of saccharine, or just the fact that it's, as much as a film is hyped, that can tend to put me off as well. But anyway, so yeah, as I say, it's the opening weekend of that film. As I speak to you now, or speak to the microphone. Talking of opening, the film's opening itself, which I'd already heard about through Mark Commode on BBC. It's pretty incredible. Obviously, I say obvious, but basically because I'd heard of it, I mean, I was kind of waiting for it. It's a very well choreographed scene. I think it's all in one shot, and it's on a kind of highway. Lots of people in cars, dancing, singing, playing instruments even at one point. And I think it kind of shows you what kind of film this is going to be if you didn't already know. That opening is pretty good. I would say it's very good. And you could even say, I noticed towards the end of the opening scene where people are singing, dancing on the highway in Los Angeles, even the cars are sort of, when people are standing on them, they're kind of swaying or sort of bumping up and down slowly. You could even say the cars are dancing, or the cars are part of the opening scene. But speaking of the cars, we are introduced not long after that particular scene. I think it's still in the same scene. If the camera's the camera hasn't changed its shot or has gone to another take, but we're actually introduced to both Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. Ironically, I thought that the film I first saw Ryan Gosling in, and probably a lot of people did, was in the film Drive, and that's what he's doing here. He's driving. So yeah, one thing I did mention just now was it's called La La Land, and it didn't really occur to me because I deliberately didn't want to read too much about this, not even where it was set. It didn't even occur to me. I'm quite sort of a lover of wordplay, letterplay, and the La La is L.A. It's I think that's the sort of the in joke. This film, it did live up to its expectations. As I say, I wasn't too sure if I wanted to see it. It was something to do on a Sunday. I felt like I should go and catch this film. But the colour, the camera angles, the choreography, cinematography, it's all pretty amazing. And if anyone thinks that it's going to be, musicals sort of all the way through, it's not really like that. I mean, there's quite a few songs in it, and dance scenes, but not that it overpowers the story, I don't think. I think the sort of songs begin, and so does the humour. The humour is quite full on to start with as well. They kind of go away for moments on end, and then they come back. The humour and the singing and I guess the dancing. All the main actors: Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone, and J.K. Simmons, who's of course in the director's other film or previous film, Whiplash, which I enjoyed, which is another reason I did at the back in the back of my head, I did want to see this film just because it's a good director. So yeah, J.K. Simmons is in this. He's not got a big role, but he's in it. The script is good as well, and I think it's actually written by the director. I don't think it was a co-written thing. I've looked into it, but as I say, it's got good dialogue. It's got witty dialogue, and it's emotional when it needs to be as well, but without going over the top. As much as this kind of film can be over the top, because it's already people already know that from the trailers and just the general advertising it's get, the heavy hype. I don't think actually, to be honest, although it's had a heavy hype about it, I don't know how long it's been actually hyped in the cinemas. So I've only been back in the UK since just before Christmas. I mean, the most amount of films I saw before Christmas was at the Busan Film Festival, and that was in when was that? God, that was like October in South Korea, Busan. Mostly Korean films I think I saw, and other films. There's international films and other things. But anyway, and one thing I did sort of take from this film, I mean, I always wonder when I watch these kind of films featuring music, singing, whether the artists are actually performing, and it looked like at the end, when I stayed to the end of the credits, it is them performing as far as I could see. The piano, I don't think that's actually Ryan Gosling, but I will say that he's obviously gone through a lot of training to get the chords and notes and playing to look right. I mean, it's spot on. I mean, I wouldn't know if it wasn't. I mean, I'm not a professional piano player, but I don't think you couldn't really fake this, or he's probably faking it, but you couldn't really make up any old keys here. He's definitely had a lot of training there, I think. I don't believe they sung their own songs. Of course, John, if you're not already aware, John Legend, the singer, I believe he's a songwriter as well. He's also sings a lot of it as well. But as I say, one thing that it's I took away from it, that the film, one of the characters, Ryan Gosling's character, he's kind of trying to keep jazz, popular, or at least make it popular, and keep it from dying out. And one thing I thought the film was kind of doing in a little subtle way was, you could say that it's trying to keep sort of the music and musicals in fashion, or at least popular, because people do forget that sometimes, unless you have a film with music in it. I was just thinking some of these scenes, especially with Emma Stone singing, you could easily be sitting in a West End musical and enjoying it just because. And it wouldn't surprise me if this does get made into a musical. And I'm pretty sure that I'm probably late off the mark there. I'm sure that's been talked about already. But yeah, the film itself, it's great. I mean, the colours, the camera, the way it's just the way it's shot, and the way it's the fluidity of the camera movements. It really, it's not boring at all, and it couldn't be boring. And even if I was speaking to someone earlier on after I'd seen it, even if a parent took their children, even if it was a young lad who's kind of maybe into other stuff, he would enjoy it. It's not overly musical, and it's got its comedy, it's got its music, it's got its even the colours. I mean, the colours are amazing, the choreography. It is. I can see why it's getting a lot of good press, and why it's getting a lot of hype about the Oscars and other awards. I'm not sure if I was thinking about it when I saw it, but I'm not sure if it's one I would see again. I probably would see it again, just for the sort of immersement of it. You can just lose yourself in it, and there's no effort involved. It's, I mean, even there's parts of it towards the end, it didn't really become too obvious. It didn't really become too predictable in the way the story, even though the story is not. It's not complex. It didn't necessarily go in the ways you thought it was going to go, which I thought was good. That's always good. That's what keeps films going, really. If in my opinion, if you can make something that's something that surprises the audience, and it's just, that's what films should be, really. So that's it. I just wanted to talk about that. As I say, I've seen 3 films in January. since I've been back in the UK, I've seen Silence, the Martin Scorsese film, Your Name, the Japanese film, and this now. It's been a worthwhile visit to the cinema to see that. I actually saw it I'll give the little plug to the local cinema. It's actually the Tricycle Theatre. It's a tricycle theatre, very well known in London, and especially where I live. It's actually got a cinema as well. It's a beautiful 300-seat cinema. It's not like a multiplex. It's very, it's not plush. It's just very nice. It just feels lovely in there. It was a packed audience today, pretty much. I actually prefer when it's not packed, to be honest, when you can just sit where you want. There was minimal empty seats today. I booked in advance, but anyway, so I'll leave it at that. I've got another busy week related to, you could say it's related to film, but I guess it's related to camera, as in me filming, and it's related to career as well. I'm actually filming for the fourth year, I think the fourth consecutive time, filming the Korean Artists Association opening evening at the Korean Cultural Centre. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. It's always interesting, and it's always something I enjoy. So that's it. I'll leave it at that. And that was as I say, a podcast just detailing my thoughts, just brief thoughts on La La Land. I forgot to mention as well, and it came at good coincidental timing. My friend, who's actually she's not American, but she's staying in America. And she's actually living in LA, so it's kind of ironic. She's just arrived a couple of days ago, and this was on. So I had to bring that up with her. Anyway, and that's it. I will say goodbye and happy watching, or happy enjoying movies, and that's it. Okay, adios.